Journalist and editor Patrick Henningsen in the US for more on the role of the media. Patrick, just how big a role then has the media played in the Syria conflict so far, and has it had any impact on the situation there?
Well, I think the media has played a massive role in Syria. Again, I hate to harken back to Libya, but if you look back at Libya, the reports that led to the UN resolution 1973, a lot of them came from the Libyan opposition. And we're seeing the same thing in Syria with the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, which is in London, and the Syrian National Council, it's based in Paris. You have these kind of foreign bodies, these odd foreign bodies feeding these human rights statistics and building up the death count, when in fact now Human Rights Watch has just been implicated really in covering up rebel abuses in Syria. And that's a major thing, because if you think the whole thing in Syria, Bill, is really based on a humanitarian issue. That's how it's framed in the media in the West. And we don't know where these statistics are coming from. CNN's been caught staging fake news with Danny Dayem, which we wrote about at Infowars.com. So we've got big problems here with the framing of the issue and through the media lens.
Certainly many resignations from Al Jazeera as well, the Arabic channel, not the English service, but the Arabic service. Do you think there could be perhaps some sort of religious divide between Sunni and Shias, which is causing that sort of editorial control over organisations like that in the Arab world?
Well, you can play Sunni off Shia, and I think you just have to ask the West, because they seem to be the experts at this. Ever since the Iraq invasion in 2003, they've kind of made an enterprise out of playing tribes or Sunni against Shia. The resignations mostly came out of the Beirut office of Al Jazeera. And this really, I don't think, has anything to do with religion as much as it has to do with the fact that Qatar is so in bed with the United States, is so in lockstep with Washington. It really compromises their journalistic integrity. And Bill, I'm a journalist, you're a journalist, and there's thousands of journalists out there. And if you're seen to be skewing the news, and you realize you're working for an organization that's not reporting the news, you really have to think about your whole purpose of being there. And that's why I'm glad I'm working with Infowars.com, and I'm very happy to be reporting for a network like yours, Bill.
Well, just one thing, though, about the Syrian government. Do you think in some ways the fact that they've limited access to journalists to the country has made it far more difficult?
Well, that's a very good question. And, you can look at it from that point of view, but let's look at it from the other flip side of that, the whole embedded reporter sort of trend that we saw from the Iraq war and onwards. So, we've had a steady diet of embedded reporting out of Afghanistan and also out of Iraq. Now, Syria has its reasons, particularly because of the amount of spies that have been outed or busted, some of which have been working for NGOs. This is all across the Middle East. Lebanon themselves busted aspiring CIA and a British spy ring, and also Mossad members back in November. Okay, so does Iran has done the same thing. So when you have foreign fighters and loads of intelligence people running around undercovering your country, there has to be some restrictions, I believe.
Of course. Patrick, it's interesting you're talking about skewed journalism. Do you think that social media and citizen journalism is now playing a role in getting information out of the conflict zones and could in fact counter the sort of information we're seeing from some news organisations?
Well, we got to be careful because also the mainstream media picks up on citizen journalism. I'm talking about mobile phone videos. I'm talking about uploaded YouTube videos, some of which CNN and BBC have been caught red-handed using things that would look to be from one side and then flipping them to look like the government was marching or this group was doing that. They've just reversed it. Citizen journalism, though, is on the way up. The ratings from places like Russia Today or from websites like Infowars.com, we're absolutely burying MSNBC.com, we're burying CBS.com, ABC. We're the #1 alternative news thing on the web. Russia Today is making massive strides against the mainstream media, and the reason is, Bill, because people have a hunger for the truth, and if I want to read and be a media consumer, I want to see what's really going on, and that's what some of us are doing, and that's obviously not what CNN is doing, as has been shown the last 2 weeks.
It's always good to get your view on what's happening there in Syria. Patrick, let's move away from the media issue. Just very briefly, the UN Security Council, at last we've seen a consensus. They're calling for a ceasefire. A lot of words and no action. What do you think is going to happen next? Should there be some action now? Just briefly.
Well, I think the split in the Security Council is really is really a fundamental one. The U.S., Britain, and their allies sit on one side of the table, and they would like a ceasefire, but they do not want to disarm the rebel groups. Okay, they're kind of wanting them to run wild through the streets of Damascus and so forth. And this is the exact same sort of paradigm we saw in Libya. Now, Russia has also said that they would entertain something similar to the proposal put forward by former UN Chief Kofi Annan. But critics are saying that Russia is just using this to kind of buy time and playing the political game. Obviously, this does come down to politics when you talk about the UN and the Security Council, because it is a political body.
Patrick Henningsen, live there in the States. Thanks so much for your time and your thoughts here on RT.